If you're in a 50 plus body and raising your arms or reaching behind you is getting harder than it used to be, then you are not just stiff, you're stuck, and you shouldn't be. So, in this episode, I'm going to show you ways that your shoulders should be moving and ways to regain that ability. These are 4 critical movements. I'm going to show them to you one at a time. One is to raise your arms up in front, elbows straight. That is called shoulder flexion. The other way is to move the arms out to the side, palms forward, bring your arms up, and this is shoulder abduction. And the others I'm going to have to show you from the back. The one is reaching behind the back from the top of the head. And the other one, which is a major one, is reaching behind your back coming from the bottom. 4 critical movements. Were you able to do any of those? The exercises I showed you are very basic ones, but they're very critical because those motions are involved with, washing your hair, reaching behind your back even to put clothing on. They're involved with reaching. And if these things start to change, then those abilities start to change as well. And the unfortunate part is a lot of people start to do workarounds instead of going, oh, wow, why isn't this moving? Why can't I reach this way? They start to accept it as my body is just aging and I'm supposed to have these kind of problems. No, that is not true. So we're going to next be talking about how to make some improvements in these motions. So the first move we're going to look at is the shoulder flexion. That's the one when the arms come straight up in the front. And the reality is that many people think it's really literally just the shoulder, which is like here. I'm sorry to hit my mic, the shoulder, but it's a combination. Your shoulder is made up of a combination of bones. And what's possibly happening if you're having trouble where you can't reach up, what might be happening with you, which will happen with a lot of people eventually because of our allowing our posture to change, is that you get to the point where your shoulder blades, which are sitting in the back, they start to float forward. They move forward and they shift. And when that happens, and you're rounding out like this, okay, those shoulder blades move, and then the head of your arm joint here, the humerus, the glenohumeral fossa and head, that starts to be difficult to move because you're starting to jam into your shoulder blade. So posture is huge with this. So for many people, if you're really losing ability and you're having it's kind of stuck, then you got to loosen up the muscles that are in the front that attach to this area initially. And then you want to do some stretching into the actual flexion itself. Now, understanding this is not an exhaustive list. This is to make you aware and to give you some things to work on doing. And you might need a little bit more than what it is I'm giving you. But for some of you, it's just a matter of correcting what's there, especially, like I said, if you're in your 50s, this is the time to do it. The corrections are going to be easier to come by than if you're dealing with the 75, 80-year-old body. Okay, so that's why I'm doing this series, because too many 50-year-olds are complaining about being old, and I never understood AARP calling 50 old until I saw 50 in the clinic. Anyway, so let's start with the pec stretch. We're going to first address the ability to raise the arms up in front. Now, this is a motion that is involved with posture, and many people have changes in the posture that affect this ability to move these shoulders up into the front. So I'm going to explain to you that the shoulder blade, which is, everybody knows what the shoulder blade, and your arm, those have to move in a particular rhythm. When we do not have good posture because we slouch over our phones, or we sit at a desk and we working on assembly type of things and we're just looking down all the time, or we just slouch because we're lazy and tired, we don't pay attention, and I have to keep watching myself as well, I'm just as guilty, we will typically start to tighten up. And if we tighten up in the front because the shoulder is rounded, okay, then that's going to limit the ability of the shoulder to move. Now, that's going to be happening with tightness in the pec muscles, with a combination of weakness in the muscles that control the shoulder blade, because the shoulder blades, instead of sitting behind your back, okay, and doing what they're supposed to do, okay, they are slouching forward. And that creates interference when we're raising the arm. The way to address that is to stretch out the tight and strengthen the weak. Then you can work on the actual range of motion. So a way to stretch out the front, and this is one way, there are others, but I'm trying to keep this simple, is to do a corner stretch. And that entails getting into a corner. Hands are going to be above, about shoulder level, feet away from the corner, so not right underneath you. And you're going to lean into the corner. And 3 times 30 seconds is typically a great way to do stretching. There's different ways to do that as well. 3 times 30 seconds, and you just hold that out. Now, if you feel pulling in the front part, then that's an exercise for you. Now, that is stretching out to release. But now that we have released the tissue, then we can now encourage the shoulder blades to hold their position by making sure we do strengthening in the mid back. And that is scapular or shoulder blade pinches. We like to call them no monies. Ain't got no money. And so what we're doing is we are pinching the shoulder blades together. So elbows are next to your body, hands come out, and you just pinch the shoulder blades together in the back. And then you can do this and hold it. I like people to hold it, and you'd be surprised. People who are rounded like this all the time, they can't fire. They can't fire these muscles, and that's why they stay in these rounded shoulder postures. And again, if you keep like that, you're going to continue to have problems moving your arms above your head. But you're going to work on that, aren't you? So when you do the stretch out, strengthening, now we say, okay, how can we start to actively improve this? I'm going to show you a very standard way that we do, and that is a wall climb. And that's literally that you climb your fingers like a spider up the wall, and then you are going to walk towards that wall. And I probably should show you on the other side for the sake of filming. So again, walking up, and then technically you should be able to come all the way up to the wall, and then you can slide it down. Now, when a person is stuck, it doesn't quite look like that. It might be kind of like one of these numbers, and it's going to feel a little stiff. That's the case. You get up there, you hold it 15 to 30 seconds. Let that stretch out. Do not shy away from stretching. Stretching is a sensation. Everything that is a sensation is not to be labeled pain. It is a stretching sensation. Don't go more than 5 to 6 out of 10 for your stretching sensation. And then you bring it down. And so for you, you might need to repeat that 5, 6, 7, 10 times. Okay? Another way, I'm not going to demonstrate it, but another way is to lie on your back and grab a cane, a dowel of some sort, even a towel, and then just bring that above the head while you're lying on your back, excuse me. And then that can start you to working on the shoulder flexion ability as well. Understanding these are very simplified exercises, and some people have a bit more going on. But if you, again, are on the 50-year-old body side, you should start to make some changes. And unless you've had some kind of significant shoulder injury or something like that, if you've kind of had a ho-hum, decent life with not a lot of injuries and the like, you should be able to regain that in this decade. So the next way we're going to look at improving your shoulder range of motion has to do with that motion over the head. So you can do it one way, similar to the first one, where you're going to get your body next to the wall, and you're just going to do that side walk, spider walk up the wall. Hopefully you don't not like spiders. I don't like them, but some people just creeped out even hearing the name. And then you're just coming back down. Okay? All right, so that's one way. And that's something that you can do 10 times to work on getting things stretched. And what I tell people too is that when you do a movement, if there is tension in the shoulder, even if you can do it, but if there's like, it's like, whoo, that's a pull, 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 then it tells you should do it anyway, just to get it loosened up totally. Okay, so that's one. The other way is going to be, I like goalpost. So you're going to back up against the wall, nice and tall, head back, bring the elbows up, and it's kind of like that goalpost movement. And so you're just stretching, and this is going to at least get you to the point of that 90 degrees. This is the abduction range that we're talking about. Okay, so this is your first probably stretch. And if you're someone who's tight in the front, this will be a good way for you to stretch out that front part. And can you tell it might help you with your posture as well? Yeah, so if it will help you with your posture, it's a great one to do. And actually, I like to go through exercises like this myself just because I do feel the tension. And it's like, okay, that's good to kind of touch base every once in a while. So that's exercise number 2. I'm going to call that a goal post stretch. And then the third one would be like the snow angel on a wall. So think about if you're in the snow and you're going to leave the angel impression, then you bring the arms out. So we're going to bring our arms back against the wall, and we're raising it up to the 90 degrees. Okay, and then we're going to take that and go all the way up above and all the way down. Okay, and this is a good stretch, because even for myself, as I'm doing this, it's making me stand up tall, and I can feel where I'm stretching. Okay. All right. Same thing. You can do that 10 times. And when it comes to things like stretching, a daily dose of stretching would be ideal. There are stretches that kind of everybody does, but I think we need to be more specific about those stretches that keep us functioning in just everyday life types of things. That's what gets neglected. And this is just a kind of an ad, because I get people who I see as clients, and or people who come into clinics, and they are like, oh, I'm so active, I do this and I do that, and they're involved with pretty consistent maybe activities, pickleball, or what is it called, paddle boarding, or even skiing. And but I can tell you, there are people who do those activities, but they end up with an injury because their body really is not as flexible as it should be in many other places. Or it's probably more that they're not flexible in the muscle groups and joints that they use a lot for those sports, because they do not do stretches that are specific to what their joints are always doing. So we need to be very specific about keeping the range of motion. A third and fourth way that the shoulders should move are the internal rotation and external rotation ranges. So this is very practical range. It's important with anywhere, whether it's just washing your neck, putting up your hair, just doing any kind of hair care, or if it's just reaching for your wallet in the back, fixing your bra, putting on your bra. I probably shouldn't say that because men might be watching. But anyway, so these are very critical motions to keep. And a lot of people who have shoulder pain, they have a loss of this range of motion and they don't even know it. Because again, you can kind of get away and work around not having the ability. You don't really realize that you can't reach up and scratch the middle of your back. You go to the door and you corner, you do one of these numbers, or we get the convenient back scratchers. Like I said, we kind of enable ourselves out of a lot of mobility. So with this one, I like to do a strap. So you can get a stretch out strap, you can get the robe belt, a regular belt if it's long enough. And what we're going to do with this, and I'm going to have to turn around to show you, but we're going to use this as a way of holding and doing the stretching. So if you have an area that is tighter, especially when we talk about the internal rotation, so if one side is tighter than the other, do the opposite side first. But basically, you're going to take this, you're going to toss this over the shoulder, you're going to grab it, and you want the arm, the hands are not going to be totally, of course, next to each other. A lot of people, it ends up looking more like this because they don't have the range, okay? But what you're going to do is you're going to pull down to stretch into external rotation, and then you're going to pull up to stretch into internal rotation. Now, you want to make sure, like for me, I have to choke down on them. You won't be able to do this probably, but basically, you want to be able to stretch it and stretch it. Okay, stretch it and stretch it, and do not be afraid of this motion. Okay, this is what you're after, and you really want to be able to scratch your own back, don't you? So that is internal and external rotation. Sorry to hit the mic. Very important. Mobility. Do not give up on it, even if your hand is way down here. And I will tell you, my worst cases are people who just this is as far as they can reach. But we start there. We'll get that band over in that side, and they just start working it. And usually within the one session, they can start to get enough change where it may even get to here, but you keep working with that. This is tissue that needs a little assistance to get mobile again. Okay, so that is for internal and external rotation. Very practical mobility need for a shoulder. Okay, so how did you do? So these are very important exercises and moves. And if your shoulders are tight and you couldn't do some of these moves, then I'm going to encourage you not to neglect your shoulder health any longer, because it's critical for you just remaining active and independent and just doing the things that you're wanting to do, and some of the things you just need to do. When we start to have changes in our joints abilities, the quality of life starts to shift. And a lot of people want to blame age as the reason why it's happening. And I'm doing this series because I want you to see that no, it is not an age thing. It's a mobility and body awareness thing. So I encourage you to save this video, go through these shoulder exercises, and then come back and give me a comment and let me know how you did.